And we have quorum.
Okay, we will call this RPC meeting for March to order, and we'll begin with a roll call.
Yes, good morning. Patrick Brown,
Yes, here.
Mayor Fuling-Bogus,
Present.
Steve Summers, Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Here.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson, Diane Michaels, Mayor Finan, Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Present.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to begin today's meeting with a brief moment of silence to recognize the passing of Elizabeth Betty Murphy. She served as Chief Operating Officer for the RPC for many, many years and has been with the RPC for 45 years. She passed away on March 1, so please join me in a moment of silence. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Wilcher.
We have a second.
Second. Fuling-Bogus.
Let's do a roll call.
Yes, Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mary Fuling-Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Present.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson, Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan, Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Right, I also wanted to welcome Diane Michaels and Steve Summers. This is the first meeting in their roles as representatives from the county, although I think Steve's been on the RPC before, but now he's represented as county executive. So I just want to welcome them. Do we have any audience participation?
Mr. Brown, I'd just like to mention there's someone that has an iPhone listed. If you could put in the chat who you're representing or where you're from, that would be great for my minutes. It
Okay.
may just be a commissioner.
I believe it's County Executive Summers.
Summers,
Okay.
that's correct. Yes.
Thank you very much for clarification.
Have we received any, I don't know, maybe we don't do emails, but have we received any participation, through email or anything?
I have not, sir.
All right. We have minutes from November 28th. They're attached. Do I hear a motion to approve the draft minutes from November 28th of 2022?
So moved. Second.
Second, Wilcher. Is there any discussion? All right, let's do a roll call.
Patrick Brown, Mayor Fuling-Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson has joined us,
Yes.
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consolidated financial reports. I don't want to get your first name wrong, but how do you say first name?
It's Orion.
Orion. Okay, Orion Smith.
Yep. Yeah. Nice to meet everyone. Yeah, I'm stepping in for Chris Ward over here. I know a few people on the board might be familiar with me from working with the county for the last 3 years, and looking forward to working with RPC now. So,
I think we need to present the consolidated financial reports.
Yeah, let's, we go through those, right? A little bit, a little summary.
So we're playing a bit of catch up just with the transition, mainly between the ERP system here and the conversion between Chris and the step down of a lot of the responsibilities here. As you'll see, there are the reports from November through February. I'd just like to ask that everyone take a look at them. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me this first go around, and I'll make sure to be prompt with my responses and getting back to you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consolidated financial reports for November and December 2022 and January and February 2023?
So moved, Summers.
Summers, do I have a second?
Second, Marlin.
Marlon, are there any further discussion? All right, let's do a roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
All right, we'll go through the bill list, the list of bills. Orion?
Same thing. Yep, all attached are all the bills from November through February. So if you've got any questions, just let me know. You'll see there's no reports for Fund 474 and 475. All that means is just there was no bills during those months, which is pretty common with those funds. But yeah, once again, if you've got any questions, just let me know.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept and place on file the list of bills for November and December 22 and January and February of 2023?
So moved, Michaels.
Nichols, we have a second?
Second, Bogus.
Right, roll call.
Yes, Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Right, we're moving into action items. The first one is approval of the budget amendment, and that's BA 2075-927, which is the landlord risk mitigation and budget amendment. And let's see, who do we have talking about that?
I believe we'll have both Orion and Lisa Benson can provide more background to that budget amendment.
Okay.
I can take that real quick. We have two new departments that we're establishing. One of those is the housing innovate. Well, they're both from the Housing Innovations RFP. It was a collaborative RFP put on by the City of Urbana, City of Champaign, and the Home Consortium. That was a nice collaborative effort that those that were serving homeless and at risk for homeless across the county were able to apply to one RFP, and then the cities and the Home Consortium then figured out how to best fund the projects. So through that RFP, the Regional Planning Commission has been awarded funds for a landlord risk mitigation fund that was funded through the City of Champaign. And then we also will have two new positions to provide housing stabilization case management services, and that's been funded through the City of Urbana. I'm happy to take any specific questions about that you may have.
I have a question. Lisa, what definition of homeless are you using for this program?
So the RFP had a broader than some of the things that we do definition. It's both literal, those that are in shelters and street homeless, and then also at risk. So those precariously housed. With our programs, they're a little specific to each one. The Landlord Mitigation Fund will address those that are being provided permanent supportive housing and were formerly homeless before going into that housing arrangement. And then the housing stabilization will focus on those that are literally homeless awaiting housing opportunities. And we're going to work on trying to help support them in stabilizing until a housing opportunity arises and addressing many of the things that they need to get together before they have that housing opportunity. So it goes quicker when that comes up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's, do we have a motion to approve the budget amendment BA 2075-927?
I'll make that motion, Wilcher.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, Marlin.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's do a roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
yes,
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to the second action item, number 7B, approval of budget amendment BA 2075-930. Let's say IHWAP BIL grant.
That'll be Lisa Benson again.
All right, Lisa.
Our weatherization program, there's a lot of federal effort, which I'm sure Delizzo could more eloquently speak to, but there's a number of opportunities coming to support energy efficiency. And this is additional funding that's been provided to the state through, I believe, a federal grant that then they are providing us additional funding. We have additional funding that's going to support our ability to enhance our staff and get more individuals trained, and then also train contractors. So it'll expand our ability to have impact by growing the infrastructure of the program. So this is additional funding specific to the weatherization program that will augment the existing funding that we have through the Department of Energy.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that these additional funds come out of the infrastructure bill that was passed, the bipartisan bill that was passed by Congress and signed by the president. And so within that, there were funds for the weatherization program, again, as Lisa pointed out, administered by the Department of Energy.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve budget amendment BA 2075-930?
So moved, Michaels.
Michaels, do we have a second?
I'll second that, Wilcher.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All right, let's do a roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
yes,
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can we go back to that budget amendment we just handled previously? I could be wrong. I heard a motion for 2075-927, but I didn't hear one for the second budget amendment 928. Am I wrong or did I just miss that or?
He is correct. Those were combined in A, action item A.
Oh, okay, even though they didn't say both of them. Okay,
Right.
good enough, thanks.
Oh, I might, yeah, okay. I might have also, they're combined, but I might have only said the first one. So let's just cover our bases and do a motion for the second one. They were combined, but I did state that request for a motion, and I only asked for BA 2075927. So I will just double make sure we're good. Ask for an additional motion for approval BA 2075-928.
So moved.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, Mayor Smith.
Okay, Mr. Smith, roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes,
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
yes,
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
All right, great. We will move on to C, which is approval to submit applications for coal and quality improvement funding, and that would be Brandy.
Good morning, Commissioners. In your packet is the information for the cost of living adjustment and quality improvement information. The COLA is to be utilized for staff salaries, benefits, and corresponding pay ranges by 5.6%, which is retroactive to March 1st, 2023, which is also the start of our grant year. The total amount for Head Start, Early Head Start, and Early Head Start expansion grants is $439,231. The Office of Head Start also allocated a total of $220,517 to the 3 grants, which were portioned out based on the current funded enrollment. Up to 50% of that funding will be used for staff compensation and benefits, and the remainder to enhance services such as transportation safety, building maintenance and repairs, and educational materials across programming. At this time, the fiscal flexibilities continue for waiver requests of the non-federal match requirement through the public health emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, RPC will be requesting a waiver of $0. I'm asking your support to approve the COLA and quality improvement application submissions, which is due April 21st.
All right, we'll go ahead and put that motion. Do we have a motion to approve to submit applications for the COLA increase in the quality improvement funding as presented?
I'll make
moved.
that motion. Oh,
Wiltshire?
second.
Who is the second?
I think Charles Smith was saying it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So he's motioning and I'm seconding.
Okay, there we go. Any further discussions or questions on this subject? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith, Mayor Marlin,
yes,
Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
yes,
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Katina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Kelly Blandon. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the Head Start, Early Head Start reports.
All right, the management reports for October through January were reviewed and approved by the Policy Council, and those are included in your management report packets for this meeting. I wanted to point out some of the highlights over the last several months. As many of you know, we do have a lease with the Champaign Unit 4 School District for classroom use, which is our Champaign Head Start Center, along with the Champaign Early Childhood Center on North Neal Street. After 20 years at this location, the lease will end on June 9th, 2023. The enrollments from this location will transition to the West Champaign Center on Country Fair Drive, and the new center on Round Barn Road. This new center, which will serve infants and toddlers, was purchased by Champaign County to support continued Head Start services within this community. And I'm grateful for the board's generosity. This really does help our program as we continue to support children and families within Champaign County. Our team plans to begin serving children and families at this location on June 1st, 2023. In the January report, RPC has served 25 homeless families and 9 of them acquired housing since September. Our team of family advocates, home visitors, and family child care mentors will continue to assist those families who still need housing, and also working with Lisa's program. In addition, COVID-19 illnesses are slowing down, and our facilities are now able to open up to our parents, volunteers, and our community partners to provide a multitude of screenings, programming, and services. Providing comprehensive services, as you all know, are critical for the health and well-being of the children and families. The management team is also currently participating in leadership resiliency workshops on how to handle stress, increase self-awareness, strengthen relationships, positively empower and motivate their teams to achieve goals, and also enhance problem solving. We're very excited to be working on these efforts, again, to create more communication, more support, and coaching for our staff. The childhood outcomes data report in your packet also shows a 10 to 15% increase across all developmental skill areas for this year. So that's between October and January. And those are significant increases. Those skill areas include social emotional development, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, and also math skills. We're very proud of the work that our staff are doing with our children, and we believe that these increases or the progress has been stimulated by the decrease in child ratios in the classroom. So we're keeping a very good eye on that and watching to see if this is something that will continue to occur, or at least the progress will continue to occur across the year. Also in the management report, I included the annual report and the full community assessment for your review. We had over 60 people, including staff, parents, and community partners, providing feedback to complete a comprehensive community assessment and also create a continuous quality improvement plan for the Head Start services. Even though we continue to have staffing challenges within our program, we are working with the Human Resources Department and also the Office of Head Start to reduce those vacancies and ultimately open more classrooms and increase enrollment. That concludes my report for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions.
I just have a quick question, Diane Michaels. I know that a part of your hiring includes education to bring some of the teachers' aides a little bit further along in the program or whatever. Has there been funding or enough funding for that, or is that at least in a draw to bring more people into the workforce for you?
Yeah, so in November, we met with the commissioners and our policy council to submit reduction request, and that would therefore help us to increase our wages across the board. We have not received approval at this point from regional office or the Office of Head Start. That's still in negotiation process. Therefore, we don't know how this is going to play out at this point. But we do know that in order to increase those wages, we do have to do some type of reduction. And our program is not the only one in the state, but also in the nation for requesting these reductions. And it's unfortunate. This is something that we're hoping to avoid.
If I may add, Mr. Chairman, as Brandy's pointing out, these are tough decisions that a lot of Head Start grantees are having to make across the country. There are hundreds, if not thousands of grantees that are in the same situation as we're in. One of the things that had given us some hope, but then that hope disappeared rather quickly, is when there was a piece of legislation, the Build Back Better, which had included within it a provision to have funding specifically for increasing teachers' wages. Well, as we all know, unfortunately, that piece of legislation did not pass Congress. And so what we are left with is trying to address some of these issues within the funding that we currently have. And the feds themselves have encouraged grantees to take a look at, I think what they're calling is a change in scope, and using, as Brandy's pointed out, those resources to try and enhance teachers' pay. Our hope is that once we do this, maybe down the road, we can be able to apply for expansion funding. I will say that in some of the national discussions that I've been part of, many grantees were surprised to hear that these change in scope or reduction in enrollment, in order for us to get those back, we would have to reapply. That's provided that there's funding available for us to do so. So we're hopeful that since this is a national crisis, I would say, within the Head Start program, that something will be done possibly by Congress to rectify these issues. Thank you.
I think it's also important to note that, for Champaign County, we received this grant in 1994. And over the years, if the cost of, over the years, the program did not receive enough cost of living adjustment to meet the demands of the workforce, but also, what's happening within our own communities regarding facilities. So as Delitzo mentioned, maybe a couple of years down the road, we can look at expansion and maybe even sooner. And that would also increase the amount of grant funds awarded. So, if you compare an award based in 1994 to what's happening today, the numbers per, the cost per child is significantly increased. So that is something that we're keeping an eye on as well.
Brandy, it might help maybe just to illustrate an example of the grant that we received in 1994, how much we're getting in terms of cost per child versus any of the expansion funding that you received subsequent to that.
Yeah, well, that would be 1994 would be Head Start, but I think the best example is the early Head Start that we received in 2004. And we were receiving about $12,000 per child. The early Head Start expansion grant, which serves the same age group, this was received in 2019, and that was $21,000 per child. So there's a significant increase in the newer grants, and they are looking at what it takes in the present to serve the infants and toddlers and also preschoolers. So I think that's just important for you to know. Diane, was there anything else that you had?
No, I just knew there was a further education for the staff that it may have helped with retention, but still having a hard time finding them. So hopefully it will change.
Well, and we are offering education through Parkland, National Lewis, Ashford University, other community colleges to support professional development first and foremost, and then also receiving their early childhood associate's degrees, even bachelor's degrees. We're also working with the Child Development Association Council to train our staff and receive, in that Child Development Associate certificate. And that does take about 18 months to achieve. But we are working with even our families that are applying for those positions like teacher aides and Head Start teacher positions. We are working with them to home grow them. Again, providing them with additional education opportunities.
Okay, let's go ahead and if I can get a motion to approve the early Head Start management reports. That does include the financials and service area reports for October, November, and December of 2022 and January of 2023 as presented.
I'll make that motion, Wilcher.
Sure. Second,
Michaels.
Second.
Michaels, roll call.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Fruling Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
Katina Wilcher.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving to the program updates. First is Finance Director Orion Smith for your update.
Yep. So, like I said, we've had a lot of change taking place all at once. I'm sure you've all gotten to know Chris Ward pretty well, and after almost 20 years here, she's going to be retiring here middle of April. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to step on with her and try to learn as much as possible over the next month or so before she leaves. We've also had Linda McCoy, who retired, and wanted to recognize that she'd been with us for over 10 years. Mary Patrovic is stepping in for her. And then we've also got Alan Schwas, who's a new fiscal specialist that's hopefully going to help with some of the shortage we've had over here within the department. This last month or so, really just been digesting a lot of information all at once. I did have a chance to speak with each one of the directors and obtain a lot of feedback from each one of them. And from what I've gathered so far, hopefully moving forward here, I'm working with my staff to get some new updated reports that are integrated with Munis. So that way it's a lot more user friendly as far as these meetings go and being able to easily interpret the information that's on them. So I'll have updates for you on that over the next couple of months, but that's really what I'm working for as of right now.
All right, any questions? All right, let's hear from Becky in Human Resources.
Mr. Brown, she is not on the
Yeah.
call today. I don't see. I guess if anyone has questions, they can contact her.
Yeah, I'm just looking at her report. So there's a good summary in her report on what's going on there. So we'll move on to Lisa.
Good morning. So I'm just going to go over some highlights for community services. For the past 4 years, we've been working on converting our client records to an electronic storage function. You can imagine in community services, sometimes we can have anywhere close to 10,000 client records in 1 year. And paper records and storage are a little antiquated. So we've been working on moving to an electronic record and then also storage of those records. At this point, particularly with this last year, our LIHEAP program serves anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 individuals every year, and those have been paper records. This last year, we were able to convert those to full electronic records, which increases cost savings. It also increases efficiency when we're monitored. We're able to provide quick and easy records to our monitors, and then also is a better service for our reoccurring customers. They don't have to provide repeated pieces of paper. We have electronic records that we can pull up and see we have your ID on file. So that's been some work that we've done over the last year, and I'm happy to say at least 90% of our records are now electronic and stored electronically. Maybe a program or two that we still need to get there. So we're happy about that. We also in October started a new pilot program, the Employment Barrier Reduction Program. That's afforded our community $75,000 in transportation assistance. That's primarily been auto repair service. It's been a new program and we've learned a lot from it, working out a number of kinks. We do believe that there will be additional funding in the upcoming year, and we intend to continue to bring that service to our community. In January, I joined County Board Member Jim Goss and Chapin Rose here in Mahomet at their request to meet with a group of community residents at the Candlewood Estates. They're undergoing a property management change, and they've been having a number of concerns. And so we were able to walk alongside them and offer ideas for resources and assistance. One of those being housing counseling services through the Regional Planning Commission to help them at least try to evaluate what their opportunities may be within their budget. So that was something that we did in January. And then the last highlight I'd like to share is the LIHEAP Mobile Outreach Unit. We have launched that mobile unit into the community. Our goal this first year was to have at least 24 events in the community. At this point, we've had 9 to date, and there's 16 scheduled. Through those 9 that we have engaged in already, we've been able to reach about 100 future customers and take 24 applications while out on site. We want to increase the number of applications that we take out in the community, but that's going to be something that is it'll progress as we go along. So if you have any questions about anything that I've shared or any other information that you're aware of that we're doing in the community, because there's a lot, I'm happy to take any questions related to community services.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Rita, we'll talk about planning and community development.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start mentioning that after the RPC board meeting today, we'll be kicking out the LRTP 2050. We are having the steering committee meeting with all the stakeholders in the community for the long-range transportation plan 2050. Will be the first meeting that we'll be having with our stakeholders. We have invited over 30 people from the community, including Park District, EDC, Chamber of Commerce, different agencies in the community, just to get them engaged on the development of our long-range transportation plan. Aside from that, we continue to work on the installation of the rental bus shelters that have been a difficult project. Please, Village of Rantoul, bear with us on that. Has been difficult working with IDOT on that project, but we are hoping to get that done. Now I understand why it's so difficult for small communities to get that kind of facilities in place. But we're still trying to get that done. We continue working with Champaign County on the administration of the ARPA funding, and also with the city of Urbana on the Urbana ARPA funding. Urbana already decided on the projects that will be getting the funding, and now we are working on allocating or sending the contracts to the different agencies that were selected to get the funding. This past month, the PCD staff have been really busy putting together competitive grants that will be submitting to IDOT this coming Monday. we are submitting 3 different grants for about a little bit over $1 million for 3 different projects. The 3 projects that we'll be submitting are, one is for developing a tool that is called the Champaign Urbana Equity Analysis and Housing and Transportation Affordability and Accessibility Index Neighborhood Toolkit. And that project is for about $400,000. The project is to develop an equity analysis tool that will allow us and any of the member agencies to use that tool to select an area on the community, and once you select the area, to be able to get a demographic profile of the population impacted by any transportation investment on that area. We have realized that equity is being a criteria that is being used by all the grants that we are submitting at this time. And we have been spending a lot of time going through the process of analyzing data to submit for the grants. Then it would be nice to have a tool that we can go and directly select the area, and then with that immediately have all the demographic profiles for the area that is being affected and submit that information as part of the grant. And along with that, we have been working with the member agencies regarding what are the problems that they are having in the community that they want to be analyzed, and housing is a huge problem. And as part of being an MPO, one of the most recent requirements that we have from the federal government is to look at the interaction between transportation and housing. Then we have decided to develop a toolkit that can look at the interaction of transportation and housing from the point of view of affordability and accessibility. And that's the grant that we are submitting, one of the grants that we are submitting. As I mentioned, this grant is for about $400,000. The second grant that we are submitting is to look at general area of Champaign County and how the general area of Champaign County can be affected by climate change. Basically, we are looking at developing a vulnerability assessment score. This is something else that we have been, as an NPO, asked to do as part of the federal requirements. Then we'll be developing a tool that will include an evaluation of the impacts of various levels of extreme weather events on the transportation system. And with that, identify what are the most vulnerable elements in our transportation system and how we can address the problems in our transportation systems in terms of infrastructure, operations, and services. And the last, and this is for about $300,000. And the last grant is to develop a Champaign Urbana active transportation plan. The idea is to have, we know that Champaign has a bike plan and a pedestrian plan, and Urbana has a pedestrian plan and a bike plan, and the University of Illinois has a bike plan. Then the idea is we have all these plans done by each community. We have to have one plan that encompasses all the plans in the community related to active transportation. Then we want to conduct a really detailed planning process focused on increasing walking and biking trips in the Champaign Urbana area, taking into consideration what have been done and focusing on equitable outcomes. The project will use a comprehensive analytic approach that will be assessing bicycle and pedestrian linkages to transit activity centers, employment centers, and recreation within the Champaign-Urbana area. And with that, we'll provide recommendations to guide active transportation policies and investments in infrastructure and programs, and will allow us to apply for grants for these recommendations that will be coming out from the plan. Those are the 3 grants that we'll be submitting. Let's see if we can get all 3 or none. Let's see. We'll probably know about these grants by this summer, and we'll keep you posted on that. Any questions?
Okay, let's move on to Justin, talking about workforce development.
Sure. Good morning. Would it be possible to share my screen? Or no?
Thank you, co-host, Justin.
Okay. Thanks. I have 5 things to go over. I'll run through them. And then some of the things that I cover, if you'd like copies, you can talk to Debbie and she'll get them to you. Do you see a spreadsheet?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Our workforce area has a workforce board. That workforce board approves training programs. The trainings programs that are approved are the programs that we can put job seekers into. So when we say someone comes to us for job training and we're paying tuition and books and fees and providing support services, they're going into job training programs that were approved by the workforce board. Our local workforce area had 6 target sectors from our regional plan that update that we did 2 years ago. They were construction, healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, ag tech, and business services. We put together an inventory of our approved training programs by sector and gave it to stakeholders. For example, in manufacturing, you'll see things like industrial maintenance technology, CAD, welding, etc. The list has the host, the tuition cost, the week spent in the program, and the end goal. End goals are usually registered apprenticeship certificate or an associate's degree. Like I said, we did it for each of our target sectors. Here's another example, healthcare, for example. Getting together that inventory was an outcome of our regional plan update. And it's helpful now as we're recruiting for job training. It might be helpful for you all to see what our approved training programs are by sector. Second, we have March is a busy month. We have a workforce board meeting, chief elected officials meeting, 2 committee meetings. The board seemed to be excited about having that inventory of training programs by sector. And then our chief elected official board, which Mr. Summers is on, thank you for that, appointed 2 new members to the workforce board, Dr. Pam Lau, the president of Parkland College, and Paige Parker, the workforce program manager at Carle Health. She's done a lot of work with job readiness. They've been added to our board, and it's great to have them on board helping shape policy and program for our local workforce area. The employee committee is exploring that inventory that I just showed you, and what they want is a flyer by industry that employers could put up at their job sites. So for example, a manufacturer might have a flyer that has those list of manufacturing or training programs in manufacturing, and they can put it up in their warehouse or what have you, and let employees know that job training is available. So it's a way to upskill folks. And if they're skill deficient, then they can qualify for our job training grant, go back to school with their tuition paid. So we're getting some good engagement and some good ideas from the board, which is great. And then we're also talking about the youth programs and the direction we're going with those in the next couple of years. Next, a year ago, we got an apprenticeship grant. We worked with Danville Area Community College, Vermilion County Works, East Central Illinois WorkNet, Parkland College, Kankakee Community College, to get a sense of the landscape for apprenticeships. We had a couple focus groups, a lot of discussions. We put out a 12-page survey, and based on all that information, we compiled it into a report. Registered apprenticeships in East Central Illinois, it has, it talks about what are registered apprenticeships, new programs, how to get those off the ground, what apprentices are, and how to support them, pre-apprenticeships and youth apprenticeships, outreach and messaging, growing capacity, regional apprenticeship coalition. It was good that we got that report out. It seems helpful to bring kind of clarity and focus to the work around registered apprenticeships in our area. And then it also, if you remember, helps our apprenticeship specialists. That's located at Parkland and funded and overseen by RPC. Number 4, there's 5 primary folks in the workforce development space: Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, Department of Employment Services, Department of Human Services, Illinois Community College Board, and then the Title I workforce directors. I'm a workforce director, obviously. There's 23 of us. We had representatives from those 5 partners go to Bloomington on March 13th. I represented the 23 Title I workforce directors, and we worked on updating state policy for service integration. I went there because our area, just so you know, is one of the areas that's doing the most with service integration and getting some traction and some progress in that area. So it was good to go meet with some other folks and try and improve, rewrite policy to try and improve workforce development in our state. Lastly, we had monitoring from DCO for our program, March 6th through 10th. And we have annual monitoring, and they monitor the program, and they monitor the fiscal. When they monitor the program, they're looking at applications for job training, case management for those participants of job training, and then they're looking at fiscal. Do we follow accounting guidelines, have allowable costs, etc. Orion, thanks for being a part of that and just jumping in. And thanks to your team for helping our program with the fiscal part of that monitoring. And then we had a soft exit at the end of the week. And as far as I understand it, the program looks good. There won't be any findings. There may be a management recommendation or 2, but that's fine. We're always open to some feedback, and so we can continuously improve. But we're happy that the monitoring went well. That's it for the updates. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions? All right, Tyler. Oh wait, who was that? Anyone? Okay. Tyler with data and technology.
Good morning, commissioners. I have just some brief updates on the projects that Data and Technology Division has been working on recently. For administrative projects, we have major projects of the website, ccrpc.org website migration. We're moving to a new system, the revised content management system. We have established our new design with them, and we are currently working on the sitemap layout. We're estimated to have that built by approximately July of this year. We're also working on the UKG Ready HR financial migration from the old Chronos system. We've been working with the county and Munis and UKG on this project, and we're moving forward with the integrations now, full swing. And it's unfortunate that Munis cannot provide us with an API to work directly with. We have to work with just import-export processes, which might take a little longer to do, but we should still be able to complete an integration using those. For the Sierra project, we're working on, that's our integrated intake platform that is primarily used for the community services division. That is being migrated from the old outdated platform to a new Odoo platform, and we are approaching the completion of the migration of that data. We should be completed by mid-April, and once we're done, we'll be building new training for system users. We are also working on the Ameren demographic analysis tool. That's a partnership with the Ameren Illinois company to provide them with data analysis for their energy efficiency outreach programs. This year, the scope includes updates to our analysis tool and improvements to the quarterly reporting that we're doing with them. We also work with several divisions on a lot of their projects, primarily with planning and community development on several of their grant projects, including the land use inventory, the CUATS modeling suite, which will be starting shortly, sidewalk inventory project, the LRTP 2050 that Rita mentioned, the SSAT program as well, as the SPR grants that we're submitting for next year. We've also been able to help the Workforce Development and Community Services Division with some website and form applications. And not listed in my list is also we're helping the new training division that's going to be coming on board this year with moving over their data, their hardware, their technology, and also their website and the content from their website from the U of I. We also are in charge of all of the open source development products and technology that have been instituted in the last 7 years. And for that, we are planning this year to migrate those internally hosted Linux servers to the cloud using one of the cloud hosting providers specifically for a Kubernetes structure. But this will allow us the full control over our storage, our processing, our backups, our authentication, and the accessibility. So we're very excited about that project. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the CEO management report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners. I'd like to begin by extending appreciation to the commissioners for their support as we been going through this transition. Firstly, with the loss of Betty, and as the chair pointed out, with her years of service here, 45 years of great institutional knowledge, great advocate for the Regional Planning Commission, and certainly was here to oversee a lot of the growth. I think she was very proud to say that when she started here, there were only 4 employees, and to now having close to 400 employees in multiple counties of the state of Illinois. We are in discussions with her 2 daughters to try and determine what would be the appropriate way to honor Betty's memory. And once we get that feedback from them, there may be some things that we would need to come back to the commissioners for, and we will advise at that time. I also want to thank the RPC senior management team who have been working steadfast within not only their divisions, but also supporting me as the CEO as we've been going through not only the transition related to Betty's passing, but as Orion pointed out, with Chris Ward, who will be retiring next month, and she had been here since I think 2004. And so quite a tremendous amount of transition within our fiscal operations for the organization. We are obviously very happy to have Orion on staff, and as he's shared with you that he's hit the ground running, drinking water from a fire hose, but nonetheless, we're glad that he's here with us. We will, since he played a very instrumental role in the county auditor's office as the chief deputy county auditor, to ensure that as he's transitioned over to the RPC, he has been working with that office to ensure that all the paperwork for the audit will be in order, so that of course the audit affects all of us, including the RPC, and so it's in our best interest to ensure that that process will go on smoothly. So moving on to other items, in terms of the COO position, which is the position Betty was in, we have started a process just with the senior management team to begin to look at that position itself, doing more of a gap analysis and making sure that the position, does reflect what the organization needs. So there may not be any changes to it. There may be some changes to it. And so we just started that process yesterday. And at the appropriate time, I think once we have completed that process, we'll move forward to begin the process of filling the position. The other item I want to report to you is that with our LAHI program, which falls under Community Services Division, under Lisa Benson's division, the last 2-3 years, we had received, this is not just RPC, but 34 other organizations in the state of Illinois received a tremendous amount of funding. Some of that was due to COVID. So on top of funding that we get on a regular basis, federal funding from the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as state funding, which is from our regulated utilities. We received additional funding to serve the community. That additional funding was one-time funding, and so most of that we've had that funding sunset, and we are now looking at a combination of several factors. That additional funding is gone, but as you all know, utility rates have skyrocketed here in Illinois, and that has driven the demand for energy assistance. What we have seen across the state, but even here locally, is that compared to the demand for the program last year to now, it's gone up by 30%. And so the challenge is that with the funding that's available for us to serve the LIHEAP eligible population, there isn't enough funding. And so the state has been very good, meaning the Department of Commerce, in sharing data with us to show us what next year is going to look like, meaning program years that starts July 1st, 2023 through to June 30th, 2024. And if everything remains the same without any additional funding, there will be many households that we will not be able to serve that will end up perhaps being disconnected from the utilities. And so what we've done is we've worked with Senator L.G. Sims, who is the chair of appropriations in the Senate, to introduce legislation that will essentially double the amount of state LIHEAP funding available. Typically, we get about $100 million, again, statewide, from that fund. And what we're proposing with this bill, which is Senate Bill 1842, is that funding will go up to about $200 million. We are in negotiations with the utilities. There were some provisions of the legislation that they were opposed to, but those negotiations, I think, have gone well. And so we anticipate that this legislation will probably pass as part of a budget bill, and that will make this effective July 1st, 2023, so that those funds will be available to us sooner than later. And then the last thing I want to report to you, which was alluded to by Tyler, is I think I've shared with the commissioners, most specifically, I probably did that through the evaluation process, that we've been in discussions with the state of Illinois, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, as well as with the university. And what the department has is, so they administer the weatherization program, which the RPC has that program, and there are 34 other organizations in the state that operate the weatherization program. In order for weatherization staff to do the work, they have to go through extensive training. Typically that training, from someone to start training to the point where they're competent enough to go into a home to assess that home for on energy efficiency issues, it takes anywhere close to, I think it's 18, is it 18 months, Lisa? It's a long time. And so that training facility has been with the University of Illinois since about 2010, 2011. And through the discussions that have been taking place since last fall, that facility is going to be transitioning over to the Regional Planning Commission effective July 1st, 2023. The facility itself is located at Research Park, and they will remain there since the property, I think, is managed by the Fox Group. And so the university will assign those leases to the RPC, and then we will assume that again beginning July 1st, 2023. The staff that are part of that training center, I think we'll end up with about 16 staff that will also be part of the Regional Planning Commission moving forward. It is not unusual for us as a local organization to have this training center as part of our organization. One of our sister agencies in Chicago has a similar training facility. And in Indiana, the same arrangement is the case. But this training is going to be, it's available to these 34 other organizations across the state of Illinois, and they'll be coming here to Champaign. They'll continue to do that to have their staff trained. So just wanted to share that that's a major transition again for us, but we have been having regular meetings with the state of Illinois as well as this training center. And then I've also been working closely with the University of Illinois to ensure that this transition happens smoothly. I'm happy to take any questions from the commissioners at this point.
When is on the audit question, when is the audit due?
Orion?
So we have to have the audit submitted to the state comptroller's website at the end of August, and then we have a 1-month turnaround to submit everything to GATA and the Fed, their federal audit clearinghouse program. So, I mean, as far as like the single audit, grant submissions, that's all into September is typically what we focus on for a deadline.
Was the audit late last year, like it had been in the past, or?
It was about a week late, I believe, last year. And it's just been a lot of catch up over the last couple of years. I guess just to give like a brief history, when I first stepped in May of 2020, we were still working on the 2018 audit. About, I don't know, about 1.5 years behind on the audit itself. And then it's just been a lot of catch up every single year. And finally last year, we pretty much got it back on track. So as of right now, there shouldn't be any delays in the audit for this current year. And I intend to work with Jill Stewart over in the auditor's office this year to make sure there is, no issues going forward.
Yeah, I was just curious. I know, we can't seem to keep an auditing firm here in the village of Mahomet. And I just didn't know if staffing shortages has been a real problem for auditing companies right now. And, we're looking up right now at a Chicago auditing company, possibly because we've been dropped 3 times now. And our current audit was due last fall, and it's not going to get done until April now. And last year we were done in February. So it's a real problem out there. I know other municipalities are having this issue. And I just didn't know how it was going here at the county. So
we were really impacted during our 21 audit. So we were making a transition between Baker Tilly and CLA at that time. And Baker Tilly was extremely short-staffed. Fortunately, when we put out the RFP for bid with CLA, there was basically a requirement that they had to basically guarantee staff to us regardless of what their staffing situation was. So they promised us like employees A, B, and C, and as long as those employees didn't jump ship, we were basically guaranteed that our audit would run on time, which was really nice. But yeah, it's definitely been an issue, across the board there on that.
okay, yeah, because we had our current auditor, we had to beg them to do it. No one responded to our RFP, and we begged them to do it, and they said okay. They gave us 3-year proposal, and they're not done with year 1, and they've already said, well, we can't do it anymore. So I'm just wondering. So thanks.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got any questions or need any good contacts, just feel free to email me too.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to express my appreciation to the entire team at RPC. I know it's been a horribly difficult year with the loss of Betty and the staff transitions, but through it all, you have continued to provide services to us as a city and to our residents. And I know as far as our ARPA allocations, we absolutely could not have done what we did without the continued administrative support from JD McClanahan and RPC. And a number of us are going to Washington, DC next month as part of Champaign County First and presenting projects that are where the grants were. Well, we submitted grants with the assistance of RPC for very important projects in our community. So I had a meeting with Representative Budzinski and her staff a couple of weeks ago, and I can tell you RPC came up repeatedly in the conversation. So I've always viewed RPC as an extension of certainly our municipality, and we absolutely couldn't do what we do without you. So just thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, any old business? Any new business? All right, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Michaels.
Michaels, do we have a second?
Second, Patterson.
Patterson, thank you. Roll call?
Yes, Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Bogus,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yep.
Mayor Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Diane Michaels,
Yes.
Mayor Finan,
Yes.
and Katina Wilcher. Thank you.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. It's 9:41. Thank you.